Welcome back to the upper tier, folks. The football podcast we bring you each and every day. Joining me tonight, our resident referee Mark for another special combined 11 show. How we doing, Mark?
How's it going? Well, thanks for having me on again.
Yeah, not a bother
You
at
be
all.
sick of seeing me at this stage, lads.
Not at all. I'm a little bit under the weather at the moment. I don't know whether it's hay fever or sinus or flu. I don't know what it is, but so we're here, we're showing up, and we're pumping out the content. Interesting
Absolutely.
show tonight on the back of our combined 11 for the Premier League worst. I'm sure we'll get some reaction out of that. So we said we'd also do one for each of our teams. So tonight we're going to be doing a show where I'll be doing a combined 11 worst Premier League 11s for Liverpool, and you're going to do one for Man United. So should
hmm
generate some very interesting debate, no doubt, based on the players that we picked. Um, Safe to say, Michael Owen, Emil Heskey, and Fernando Torres are not in my team. Just putting that out there for anyone who's watched our other combined 11 show. Right, let's get into this.
We're
Anyway,
still
we
talking about that to this day, huh?
absolutely we'll kick it off anyway. Go on, kick us off. What did you go? What did you go 4-3-3 again?
I've gone three at the back, five in midfield, and two up top.
That sounds like that was constructed to include certain players. I'd say it wasn't that you wanted to get in there.
Yeah,
Nice. I
absolutely.
I went with the typical 4-4-2 again, which is what we were kind of renowned for when we weren't very good.
Yeah.
Kick us off. Give us your goalkeeper.
Do you know what? I'm gonna go with a lad that obviously last week I went with Mr. Toyibi for honourable mentions, but I'm gonna leave him off this week because he only made four appearances, and so the guy who I'm picking had two spells with us, one in the late 80s, early 90s, and then he signed as a replacement for Peter Schmeichel. He came in, myself and my dad went out to Old Trafford a lot back then, nearly every other week basically. So I watched a lot of him in his first season. He wasn't great. He was carrying a bit of weight. Keane mentioned him, obviously eating packs of crisps and chocolate bars on the way to matches and stuff like that. So I'm going for Mark Bosnich in goal.
Bosnich, yeah. Bosnich.
Um, Listen, he always had big shoes to fill, coming in to replace Michael or trying to, but it was a disaster. You know, he made so many mistakes. He like I said, he never kept his fitness up. Obviously, there was a lot of stuff going off the field. You know, his antics. He was out late night doing this, that, and the other, which one Ferguson would have been happy with. But yeah, I've gone for Mark Bosnich and go.
Good shout, yeah. He always seemed to be that guy, you know, not dissimilar to myself. You only have to look at food and you put on weight. He was that kind of guy, wasn't he? But he was certainly on the night saying all right, and
Yeah,
certainly didn't fit into Fergie's ideas. He was a
yeah.
man. He was involved in some recreational stuff as well, but we won't get into that,
Yeah,
of course.
yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, yeah, good shout. I mean, it would have been easy to put Taibbi in, especially for the mistake and stuff like that.
That's what I'm saying.
Um,
Like he only played four games for EB, and listen. I know he made the mistake with Letizier's shot, but I think Bosnich had two. Well, he didn't play much in the first spell, but the second spell he played a lot of games, and he didn't really do it for me. So, hence the reason I put him in.
Yeah, I've gone the other way. I've gone with what your first recommendations were in terms of my one. So I've put Carrius in as my one.
Carrius, right?
Uh,
Yeah, yeah. I think a
absolutely.
lot of Liverpool fans would as well, cause so
Yeah, I think so because I think if you go back and you look at the other keepers, although for us, if you think about it, through the 90s and even through the 2000s and stuff like that, you know, we always had keepers that were reasonable shot stoppers, but
yeah, yeah. Sammy Vestavels and all.
yeah, but they always failed in terms of distribution. They always failed in
Mm,
terms of there was always something that they didn't have to make them a real top keeper.
mm.
But they always put in a shift, and most of them were decent. But Karius, I think just because of that pure collapse, you have to put him in. I mean, has there ever been a bigger collapse in terms of a goalkeeper and
No,
stuff like that? You know,
no, no, not
I
at
don't
all. I
think so.
think then he go up to Turkey after that, and he made a lot of mistakes over in Turkey as well. So
He did, yeah. Yeah, I think he made similar mistakes. If I'm right, I think he started off okay with about 3 or 4 games. And then I think after that, I think for 4 or 5 games on the trot, I think he made similar mistakes and
and if
didn't
you're in that
then.
Turkish league, you know the fans they'll let you know all about it. It's a different breed to the Premier League fans. They're even worse. Like
Yeah, it got to a stage where we couldn't even give him away. So
Yeah, yeah.
that'll tell you what it was. So that's who I put in. Give us your back three then.
My back three, I've gone for Alex Butner. I've gone for a man who I mentioned last week, William Prunier, and I've gone for a man that is in the current Manchester United squad. It might sound harsh, but I've gone for Harry Maguire.
There you go. There you go. Breaking the rhythm. Breaking the rhythm. Poor Harry
Uh,
Maguire. What are you gonna do if he comes out this season now and has a belter of a season? They take the
I
captaincy
tell
off
you,
him, chills
it,
into his
it,
game and plays really well.
if he does, I'll come on here at the end of the last game and I'll send him an apology if he does that.
And we'll do a new worst combined 11.
Yeah,
We'll take him out,
yeah,
basically. Yeah.
yeah. We'll
Says
replace him. We'll
and,
put him.
and, and link
We'll
him
put
on
him in the
Twitter.
best 11. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. We'll put him in the best United 11 ever.
Oh yeah,
So
absolutely. I think
that's
it's
my goalkeeper and then my back three. So
okay. I went with a back four. So my first one up is Philip Deegan. Came into Liverpool. Spent 4 years at Liverpool. 4 years, right? Four
did he
years.
4 years?
7 appearances in
Nice,
4 years.
nice. I
Has
didn't
to go in
realize he was
there.
there that long. 4 years, man.
Yeah, 4 years.
Jesus
Um,
Christ.
Disaster. The next one I put in was Mr. Hardballs himself from West Ham, who soon as signed. As soon as brought him in, and he says, I think at the time he said, I'm bringing this man in because he reminds me of me. And how wrong Graham Souness was.
Yeah,
Julian Dix.
dicks.
And I think Julian Dix would probably feature in most Liverpool uh, combined 11s.
Yeah, he was a hard man. He was kind of a bit like Ruddock, wasn't he, in that sort of way?
Yeah, came in on a swap deal for David Burrows and Mike Marsh. But yeah, shocking, shocking.
Yeah, I remember some of the tackles when he was with West Ham. Remember they had the old Dr. Martens sponsor on their jerseys, Doc Martens, and yeah, just he was like I said, he was like Ruddock. He always carried a bit of weight, never had much pace, but he'd always stick the foot in if you were trying to get by him.
Yeah, I think what happened with this guy is this guy probably would have been a perfect '80s footballer, but got caught in the '90s.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I, I don't know. He'd stick the foot in and stuff like that, but I don't think anyone ever believed he was hard. You know, in that kind of
Mm.
Soonest vein.
Yeah, yeah.
Soonest should have known better. Football was changing at the time. That's not the kind of players you should be looking for anyway. Um, my next one you'll probably remember anyway. This is the third in my defence. Torben Picnic
Yeah, yeah,
came in on the back of. We had this love affair, if you remember, with Liverpool. We had this love affair with Scandinavian players. We always signed Scandinavian players. But this guy came in on the back, signed in 1992 on the back of Denmark winning the Euros
yeah.
by Souness. 2 seasons, 17 appearances. Should appear on most Liverpool's uh, poorest or worst combined
Yeah.
11, if you like. And a man that came in, and you had mentioned one in your combined 11 with a similar name, Rigobert Song,
So
I put into my defence as well.
no way.
Uh,
Do you know who I was thinking you were gonna put in?
go on.
Konchesky.
I tell you, I was tempted. I was tempted.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know something? I could have put all of nearly Roy Hodgson's
Roy
signings
Hatcher.
in.
Yeah, yeah. It's
You know what I
very
mean?
true.
Like
Very true.
I could have put a load in and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Go ahead and give us your midfield.
Yeah, so basically, a lot of these names I would have mentioned in the Premier Leagues were signings, possibly. So I've gone for Beppe,
Yeah,
Kleberson, who
yeah,
signed after having a fantastic World Cup, never lived up to the hype. Jemba,
yeah.
uh,
Jemba, yeah.
an absolute, and the two last in midfield are absolute rat bags, Pogba and Di Maria.
Pogba and Di Maria, yeah.
And I was having a hard time. I was looking at Jordi Cruyff as well. United fans remember signing Jordi Cruyff. Obviously had that big famous name on the back of the shirt, but never lived up to what his dad had done previously. You know, that sort of way. But
Very, very
I,
difficult to match the dad.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
the
no,
dad was
without a
just,
doubt.
he's up there, you know.
But yeah, so Beppe Cleverson, Jemba, Di Maria, and Pogba.
Interesting. Some good choices there, absolutely. Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? The amount of players that you see coming in on the back of a really good international tournament,
Mm,
and then they come
yeah.
in and they're just woeful. It's like
Yeah,
it's
like
crazy, you
he
know.
he made 24 appearances in 2 years for us. Obviously, he had that fantastic 2002 World Cup
Yeah,
where he couldn't do anything wrong. But it's one of these, like you look at some of the South Americans on any list, they find it hard to come into the Premier League and settle for whatever
yeah.
reason.
I'll give you a little I'll give you a little teaser to my front line. One of these lads in my front line as well came in on the back of a very good international tournament and just turned out to be a proper fucking scumbag. And there's no prizes for guessing who it is.
I think I know who it is though.
Absolutely. So
But
that's your
yeah, you
midfield.
look at it, yeah, like Jemba there, Di Maria and Pogba. We spoke about him. Beppe, we spoke about him last week as well. So, like us,
Any notable mentions that you chalked off? Did you change your mind at all in your midfield?
yeah, like I said, I had Jordi Cruyff there. I had Kieran Richardson as well. Obviously, I put him on the other list because I was kind of like
Yeah,
wanted to get him in there, but you could have had a few, you know.
yeah, absolutely. Um, I'll give you my midfield then. I prefaced it in the other show as well. So first of all, out of the block, Alberto Aquilani. We can't move away from
Aquilani,
this guy. This guy is
yeah.
featured on all our podcasts for the last 2 weeks.
I have him on my bench. Don't worry, because
I'd like see now. Who did I put in then into my midfield? Yes, Milan Jovanovic.
Jovanovic.
Yeah, made 10 appearances. Benitez brought him in 2010. Terrible,
Never
terrible.
made it.
The next two you'll be very familiar with. I remember these guys holding up the scarves and all and the fanfare and all. One that came in, Bruno Cheru.
Shea Real, yeah.
Yeah. Two
You're
goals in 4 seasons.
Jesus Christ. Wasn't he with the standard charter jersey? That was a sponsor back then, wasn't it? And I remember him in Anfield at the time. Yeah, Jesus
Sometimes I look
Christ.
at those sponsors on the jerseys and I think if only it was further back,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah,
So it wasn't in my mind. But Bruno
yeah.
Cheru, I remember I was working in a company at the time, and I was friends with a guy in quality control. He was a big Liverpool fan as well, and he always used to come in to me on the Monday, and he goes, "There you go, Bruno Cheru." Waste of time and all this. He always gave out about Bruno Cheru, Rigobert's song, and probably
Song
Alberto Aquilani. These
as
are the guys
a
he used to give out about. So put him in there.
song.
My final midfielder, one that you won't be surprised about. Um, Again, another Hodgson boy, Christian Paulsen came in. 12 appearances, and as soon as Dalglish took over, absolutely showed him the door.
Out that door, yeah.
Get
Isn't it
out that
mad?
door.
Like Roy Hodgson, the money he spent, and you look at the players he brought in. Like you go back to Konchesky there. I think it was did he get him from Fulham at the time? I think
It might have been Charlton, was it?
was it Charlton? Was it?
I'm not sure. I
But
thought it might have been Charlton. I'm not too sure. I see these ones I like to block out of my mind. As a
yeah,
matter of
yeah,
fact,
no, you're right.
you could ask me most questions about that Hodgson error, and I'd actually have to look it up. I've tried to
Look,
blank it
yeah,
out of my mind like it even
yeah.
happened because I often say on these shows that certain people shouldn't have even been allowed park around Anfield near loan manager
Never
around it.
could, yeah.
And unfortunately, Roy is one of those guys. Lovely man,
Yeah.
great manager at some other clubs and stuff like that. But when you're stepping up to a club like Liverpool, shocking, shocking. Give us your
Okay.
front line.
Up front, I've gone with a player. Well, I've two up front. I've got the first one. I've gone for a player who was described as the next Thierry Henry. He came in and never quite made it. So it's David Bellion I've gone with as my first
Bellion,
striker.
yeah. Yeah.
It did again so much hype about him. I don't know who compared him to Henri because I don't know what type of drugs that person was on, but he was never that type. He didn't even make a Sunderland. Never mind when he played with us. But after he
Yeah.
signed and went to Sunderland, he never done anything there either. So it just shows you. And to finish off my top two strikers is another rat bag, as I'd like to call him. Um, he said he never wanted to be at the club from the start, but he's a great piano player, and that is one Sanchez.
Alexis Sanchez, yeah.
Alexis Sanchez.
Yeah,
Again,
I think
absolute.
what yeah, it's mad. What a footballer. What a footballer. But just went into United. and from day one didn't endear himself with the fans, didn't embrace the move,
You know.
was getting paid a truckload of money. Um, but yeah, God, yeah,
And
Alexis
even when he
Sanchez.
went on loan, like I said in the last episode, he's still getting paid 200,000 by us when he went on loan to Inter Milan.
It's
Crazy,
scary, isn't it?
crazy going
Scary.
on. Like,
Yeah, scary.
yeah,
And
but
he might be one that may not feature in a lot of worst combined 11s, that kind of way. Because people
yeah,
might,
yeah.
again, as I was talking earlier, might want to forget about a guy like that. You
Mm.
know what I mean? And the
But you
history and
look
stuff
like
like that.
there's other strikers throughout the years that signed, didn't play too many games, but gave it their all. You look at Dion Dublin; he only made a handful of appearances, scored 9 goals, but
Yeah,
anytime he played for United, he put a shift in.
yeah.
Where Sanchez never put a shift in whatsoever. So, and his attitude just stunk from the start.
Yeah, well, you look at a guy like Dion Dublin, there's still a certain endearment to him there from the fan
Mm.
base and stuff like that. So you can tell, even though you didn't play a lot or whatever it was, they still have a bit of respect for you there. That when you
Yeah,
came in, you did actually try and stuff like that. The likes of Sanchez, if you can imagine him rocking up to Old Trafford now, he'd be absolutely
yeah,
vilified at this stage.
yeah.
Yeah, but
But
good shouts. Some 11.
yeah, yeah. When you look at it on paper, like there's a few more current players there, you know, than I probably would have expected. But there was, it's so hard. Like coach from doing that, I could have had 2 or 3 lists of kind of players
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
listen. There's players that may have only played 2 or 3 times. I could have put on as well, but I felt there wasn't a need to put them on this list.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll give you my front two. No surprises who goes in there first. A guy who I couldn't believe we signed, and I don't know what Brendan Rodgers was thinking that he was going to be able to control him. But Mister, why always me? Mario Balotelli goes on the list
Madness,
straight away. Absolute
madness.
madness. I don't know at what point Brendan Rodgers woke up in the middle of the night and said, you know something, I think I'm going to bring in Mario Balotelli, and if anyone can get a jot out of him, I'm going to get a jot out of him. I'm going to be
Yeah,
the man to control him and restore him to greatness. Well, that nose died very quickly.
he's
So
great
Mario,
character.
man, I can't fault. What
He-
was it? I can't fault him for effort. Good lord, just got slapped up by
yeah,
West Brom or something. You know what I mean? I couldn't ask
I
for more
don't
for the
know
lads. Maybe ask for a few goals and maybe a win. Brandon wouldn't be too bad.
what
He
was
got
he
very
think like.
frustrating for me.
Like even at City, Mancini found it so hard to control him. He was always one of these fiery characters, bit
Yeah,
like kind of Diego Costa. He's a bit fiery, but at least Costa used to score goals and put a shift in. But
yeah,
Balotelli, oh my
yeah.
goodness, man.
Remember the one where Mancini subbed him and he was going
Yeah, that was
ballistic? And
yeah.
Mancini wanted to batter the head off him, basically. And I think of
Yeah, we
that row, I
spoke about
might have
that. Yeah,
backed Mancini. I might have
yeah,
backed
yeah.
Mancini because he looked like he had those
And Brian
devil
Kidd,
eyes.
Brian Kidd backing up Mancini behind him as well. So you wouldn't want
Yeah,
to get on Brian
absolutely.
Kidd's bad side either.
Yeah. Like I said earlier, my second striker, and no prizes for guessing
We
who
know what's
this guy
coming.
is. El Hadj Diouf, another guy who came in on the back of a very good would have been a World Cup, wouldn't it? Him and Salik Jow signed for us
Mm.
on the back of that World Cup. They both had a really good World Cup.
He was a
But came in
scumbag though, wasn't
absolute tramp. And I
he?
think he would go into most people's worst combined 11s for Liverpool, I would imagine.
Didn't he spit at Gerrard when he was playing with Bolton or Blackburn and he was playing against Liverpool? Didn't he spit at him or something like that as well?
I think it was either him or did he go out to get a ball and spat at a fan or something like that?
Something like that. Yeah, I just
Yeah, it was
remember he
something
was
like
an
that.
absolute
He's just
scumbag. Like,
yeah, an absolute tramp. So yeah, so that's my worst combined 11. So just I'll rock back through mine and then you can rock back through yours. So Karius, Philip Deegan, Julian Dix, Torben Picnic, Rigobert Song, Alberto Aquilani, Milan Jovanovic, Bruno Shayru, Christian Paulsen, Mario Balotelli, and El Hadj Diouf. If there was ever a team that would bring a Premier League title back to Liverpool, that team is not it. Give us a rundown on your United team again.
yeah, so I've gone for Bosnich, Maguire, Prunier, Butner, which I was struggling to put me in, but I put me in the end. Pogba, Bebe, Cleberson, Jemba, Di Maria, Bellion, and Sanchez. So I've
Nice.
But yeah, it was. Listen, again, I was like I said, I was scribbling in the now names. Not so more so on the other list for the
Yeah.
worst Premier League rather than this. But it was tough at times, but
Yeah,
got
it's
there in the
interesting
end.
because you have 4 players in there that are kind of still very current. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
interesting. Yeah, it's
and
interesting
still
they came on.
currently shit.
Still making truckloads of money from fouling people, I think.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
big time. But no, and one of the players, like you were saying earlier, we'll talk about it. We seen a reference coming out about a conversation, and his agent is obviously deceased.
yeah.
But if there's some of the things that was said, oh my god, what are you doing, Paul Pogba? Like,
This documentary, like, I hope he has signed his contract with Juventus before this documentary comes out,
yeah.
because I get the feeling with this documentary, no one will ever touch him again. Now I hope
But
this
like
contract's a
he
4 or 5 year.
going on the conversation, like you swear he carried that team for 5, 6 years, that he won everything there is to be won the way he was going on. And like what, he had a handful of games that he did well in, that he showed up in the United jersey.
Yeah,
He's an absolute
yeah,
shot. He's a con artist. That's exactly
yeah,
what he is.
yeah.
Um
Ju-
uh,
I was thinking there, we must actually do a show that's the opposite of our Legend series.
mm,
I don't know what we call it yet. We'll have to find the name for it, or if our viewers want to think of a name. We obviously do a Legend series on the show where we pick a player and go back and look through their career.
the
What we
dead
should
end
do is,
series.
yeah, what we should do is have a look at the opposite of that and pick a player like Pogba, who had all the potential in the world, was a huge star. Won a World Cup,
Mm.
did he? And a Euros, I think. Was it?
Yeah, he won the World Cup, and
I'm not
yeah,
sure if he won a Euros as well, but won a World Cup anyway,
and
definitely.
he won best
Um,
haircut as well, 2020. Yeah,
yeah, 2018,
yeah.
19, 20, 21, and 22. But also was a fabulous player at Juventus. And for some reason, or not, rocks up to
But
United. And
isn't it mad how all these players look great in the Serie A? Does that not say something about that league? Like you
yeah,
look at Lukaku at Chelsea. He wants to leave Chelsea. He only signed for them. He did a great spell with Inter Milan under Conte, and like he comes over here and he's
mm.
not worth crap. Like you know.
But then you look at you
Um,
look at other players that came in, the likes of Zola, and I suppose Rio Tully. He came in from the Italian league, but he
mm,
wasn't Italian.
mm.
But there's a lot of really good
But
players that have come
see,
in as
the
well.
the Serie A was different back then. You're mentioning Zola and Hullet. That's when the Serie A was serious. Like you know,
Yeah,
that's when we used to watch it on Channel 4,
yeah,
and there used to be a game on a Sunday afternoon, and
yeah,
you know you had the likes of Baggio and you
yeah.
Van Basten and Way and all these players. But now I don't
Mm.
know. I think the
Well, I suppose
pace
the best
suits
example at
certain
the
players.
moment, the best example at the moment is probably Jorginho, is it?
Mm, yeah,
Jorginho, who's done well at Chelsea, and then you think about that Italian side, they've only gone and won. Um,
the
they've
Euros
only just
last
gone and
year.
won a Euros and stuff like
Yeah,
that as well. So there's a lot of talent in there and stuff. That I think culturally it's changing, because I think a lot of those younger Italian players now, who may have looked to the Premier League to move in and stuff, now they're not moving; they're staying in
yeah.
Italy and stuff from a culture
Mm,
point of view and stuff like that. They prefer it. So
mm.
um, times have changed. Well, listen, it's been a pleasure doing this one with you. As always, if you want to contact the
Cheers,
show,
guys.
the upper tier podcast at gmail.com. Audio shows on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music. And if you want to contact the show, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, the upper tier podcast, you'll find us out there. All you have to do is search it.
Um, If
Go
there's
on.
any lists you want us to do out there, just drop a comment in the section below. Let us know what you want,
Yeah.
what list you want us to do
Or
as
if you
well.
want to come on and do a list with us, we're
Yeah,
quite happy to do a
absolutely.
list as well. Absolutely. If anyone wants to come on, just drop us an email there and we'll have you on. Until next time, my friend, a pleasure.
Cheers, guys. Thanks.